Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with using Linux at all. It's just the only reason why I mention Windows instead of Linux in my videos is just because, one, that's what I use on my own computer, and I like to make recommendations to people that I personally use. And two, it is easier to run games and install drivers using Windows than it is with Linux. And I'm not saying it's impossible or that it's necessarily hard to do, but it is more difficult and there is more of a learning curve. And the majority of people are on Windows for gaming and otherwise. Uh, Second place being Mac OS, and the third place being Linux. As far as desktop operating systems go, Linux is, I mean, in reality, Linux is everywhere. And if you count, the total number of devices that Linux or any variant of Linux is on, it completely dominates the entire market. But as far as desktop operating systems go, especially for gaming, it's not that popular. I do definitely understand the appeal, though. It's much more lightweight than Windows. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to deal with all the telemetry features. And even if you do have a distribution that does have telemetry features, they're going to be really easy to disable, especially if you know your way around a Linux terminal. And if you're familiar with sudo commands, you can pretty much do anything you want. Now, I'll be honest, the only reason I haven't made a tutorial on how to run games on Linux is because I couldn't figure out the NVIDIA drivers on Ubuntu. It was giving me a lot of problems, so I just kind of said forget it and didn't really work on it since then. I might try a different distribution. Maybe I'll try Linux Mint because that's another kind of starter version of Linux that I'm somewhat familiar with, and I might try to just get my NVIDIA drivers running on that distribution instead, or I might just buckle down and try to figure out how to actually get the NVIDIA drivers working on Ubuntu. And it could just be a skill issue. I'll admit I'm not that familiar with Linux, so it could just be something that I'm doing wrong. It could just be, some kind of BIOS or hardware configuration setting. But the NVIDIA drivers didn't really seem to work very well on Ubuntu. When I had my Intel Arc graphics card, the drivers installed just fine. So I don't know if it's a problem with NVIDIA or if it's just something that I was doing wrong. But yeah, if you are skilled enough and you're willing to use Linux over Ubuntu and you're willing to put in a little bit of extra work to get stuff to work, by all means, go for it. I think Linux is a great option. It's definitely much more lightweight and much more privacy focused.